This one was requested over a patron, actually. I watched Demon Slayer at 0.25 speed, and here's what I found. Okay.
The hidden secret in this scene? What about this one? You probably can't. And that's because there are some secrets in Demon Slayer that can't be found by
I'm not gonna lie, the newest season of Demon Slayer is the best for like story and like building, but it's kind of been slow. But I like that it's slow.
watching scenes
You know what I
at
mean, chat?
normal speed. That's
I
why
like
I watched
that.
the entire Demon Slayer at 0.25x speed in order to find the
But I think the best season of Demon Slayer is probably season 2. Or I guess if you count the movie, then actually no. Season 2 was my favorite.
craziest secrets you never noticed before. For example, during the Mugen train, when Tanjiro
Okay.
is about to kill Enmu,
The
he
neck,
uses a sun
or like
breathing
the
form
spine.
called Clear Blue Sky. And immediately
Yeah.
after he uses it, if you look really closely, you'll notice that the sky turns blue for a few frames.
Okay.
Despite it being night outside. Okay. this
It's
one was
interesting that he uses clear blue sky, but it's like a fire attack, right, chat? That's interesting that it's like a sky attack. You would think that's maybe like a wind technique.
really hard to
But it's
spot,
actually
so I
fire?
don't blame you if you didn't notice it. But can you notice anything weird in these two scenes? After Tanjiro completed the final selection, two of Kagaya's children were there to congratulate him. One
Yeah,
with white
the
and
weirdos.
one with black hair. However,
The
if we fast
weirdos.
forward to episode 22, both of the children have white hair
Oh.
now. Is this some kind of mistake? Well, no. It turns out that Kagaya actually has 5 children.
Oh,
and the one
damn.
with black hair is just not here at this time. In the 25th episode of season
Ego
1,
many.
we were introduced to Kanaya Kocho, the former flower Hashira. If you pay attention to her design, you may notice that her jacket and hair clip look oddly familiar. This is because in the present time, her jacket is worn by her sister Shinobu, and her hair clip was taken by Kanao. It's really sweet how the two of them did this to honor her memory.
Oh,
And
wait,
although
I didn't
that's
even
pretty
notice that.
sad, this next one is completely heartbreaking. If you pay attention to all of the Hashira's outfits, you'll notice
Yeah.
that all of them look pretty normal except for Gyu's, which seems
'Cause
to be
it's
made
red?
up of 2 jackets put together.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's
oh, yeah.
because it is.
Oh,
You see,
because of I forgot his name. The guy, right? The kid that didn't make the Demon Slayer passing because he sacrificed himself.
this green and yellow half was originally a part of Sabito's jacket.
Oh, Sabito,
and you can
Sabito.
clearly see
Yeah,
him
oh,
wearing
wait,
it
that's
here,
so sad.
While the other half belonged to Gyu's sister Tsutako. They both died
Oh.
protecting Gyu, so he is wearing parts of their jackets as a tribute to them.
Wait,
During
I
the
actually didn't
Mugen
know that.
train arc, when Tanjiro and the others enter the train, if you slow down this scene a bit, you can see this girl. You notice anything
Yeah.
weird about her? That's right, she looks exactly
Like-
the same as human
like-
Nezuko. The exact
Yeah.
same kimono, same face, and the same hair. And although this probably
I was gonna say she looks kind of like Tanjiro's mother.
means nothing, it's so cool when you notice it. But sometimes interesting things are not even hidden in the episodes, but in the openings. For example, in the first opening at exactly 1 minute and 13 seconds, you can see this cool art of all Hashira together. However, judging by which episode you're watching, this screen may be different. You see,
What?
in the opening of episode 2, only Gyu is visible and the others are blacked out, since he is the
Okay.
only Hashira we were introduced to at that point. This later changes in episode 20. When Shinobu is revealed, it changes
Wait.
again in episode 22.
Oh, wait, that's sick.
And finally, in episode 23, all of Hashira are revealed. After Tanjiro is defeated
What?
by Yutaro
Okay.
during the Entertainment
that.
District arc, he starts mocking Tanjiro and calling him all sorts of names.
This guy.
Now, if you remember these names and go to the very next episode,
Bro, it's
when
projecting,
Yutaro's
I swear.
backstory is revealed, you'll notice that these are the exact same words other kids use to
That's what
mock
I'm
him.
saying.
Worm, dimwit,
straight up
sad
projecting.
sack, coward, and good for nothing. And if you think some of these secrets were cool, you've seen nothing yet, because this was only the first level of secrets I'll reveal in this video. And with each level, the secrets will only get harder and harder to find. Like this
Okay.
one. When this guy was inside Tanjiro's soul, we can see a couple of these spirit things guiding him. If you count them, you'll notice there are 6 of them in total. And
Yeah.
they most likely
Yo,
represent
that
the
scene
soul.
was so good. I'm sorry, chat, for pausing so much, but I'm just saying that scene was so good. And was it the other guy's soul? Why am I forgetting names? You know, the fire guy. Why am I forgetting names, bro?
You count them, you'll notice there are 6 of them in total. And they most
His
likely
soul
represent
is
the
on
souls
fire,
of
right?
Tanjiro's deceased family. Mother, father, and 4
Oh,
siblings.
is that what it
But
was?
did you ever notice this little detail during Tanjiro's fight against Daki? In episode 6 of the Entertainment District arc, Tanjiro cuts one of Daki's legs. However, when she regenerates it, her clothes also regenerate with it. This becomes even weirder when you realize that only a couple of minutes later, Nezuko couldn't regenerate her clothes. So was this just a mistake? black. Well, maybe, but a lot of fans also believe
Oh,
that
wait,
Daki's
yeah.
clothes are made out of her flesh.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's
She uses
why
the
it
clothes.
always regenerates. And while we're
Yeah,
on
that
the
makes
topic
sense.
of the entertainment district, do you remember this scene when Daki
Rengoku. Jesus, bro. Thank you for saying in the chat. Rengoku's soul was on fire.
sees Yorichi's reflection in Tanjiro? Here, Yorichi's eyes are completely white to emphasize how scary he was to demons. And immediately after this scene ends, for literally a second, you can see that Tanjiro's eyes have also turned white. While watching the show in slow motion, I
that
started
because
to
you got
notice
the mark?
that some demon slayers have some kind of letters written on their blades. After paying
Oh.
closer attention to it, I realized that it was only Hashira who had this engraving on their weapons. So what do these say?
Did Tanjiro get
Well,
it?
all of them say Destroyer of Demons, and this engraving is something everyone gets when they get promoted to Hashira level. Okay, that one wasn't that hard to notice, but I bet many of you completely missed this little secret in episode 14. While Tanjiro and Zenitsu are goofing around inside the Wisteria house, for a very short moment, you can see that Zenitsu's Sparrow and Tanjiro's Crow are standing on the roof, probably keeping a watch in case demons find them. So, do you remember these three people? They're the owners of three
Yeah,
houses the trio
not really,
infiltrates
but yeah.
during the second season. But did you know that we actually see them way before this? If you pay really close attention to the opening of this season,
Oh.
you'll notice each of these owners is hidden in the background. With that, the second level of secrets is done. And although some of these were really hard to spot, you've seen nothing yet. As the
I feel like
secrets in the
openings
third
are great
level
for
will
Easter
leave
eggs.
you absolutely speechless. Take this one for example. During the final selection, if you slow down some of the scenes when Tanjiro is using his sword, you'll notice that his sword is blue. However, later on, we learn that the color of Tanjiro's Nichiren sword should
Black.
be black. So why was it blue here? Well, you see, Nichiren's swords only change color the first time someone holds them. And considering Tanjiro used one of Urokodaki's old blades during the final selection, its color stayed blue instead of turning black. Okay, that detail was pretty small, but are you ready for an even smaller one? At one point during Tanjiro's fight against Daki, he uses his sword to keep her sashes in place. However,
Yeah, that
one
scene was so cool as
tiny
well.
detail to notice here is that the sharp side of Tanjiro's sword is facing the right side, meaning when Daki tries to pull her sashes back, the sword
like, helps
should
her.
rip them apart,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it doesn't. This is most likely a mistake by the animation team, and the sword should have been facing the other side. But did you ever notice
Bro,
that some of the
such small
Kusugai crows
details.
Hashira use have unique accessories? For example, in this scene, you can see a
yeah.
crow with a flashy necklace and earrings, obviously resembling Tenjin because it's his crow. And also here, you can see a crow with a green-pink
The love
heart
for Hashira?
accessory on it, resembling Mitsuri's
Yeah.
design. Now, you probably noticed that at one point in the show, the mark on Tanjiro's forehead changed from looking like a scar to looking more like a tattoo of some kind. But did you ever notice
Yeah.
when exactly it happened? Well, it actually happened all the way back in episode 4. At exactly 18 minutes and 16 seconds of this episode, it's the last time we see Tanjiro's scar. After that, it's covered with blood for some reason, and in the 11th second of episode 6, its new design is revealed for the first time. Although we haven't seen much of Stone Hashira Gyomei in the anime so far, in a couple of scenes, you can see that his jacket has some Japanese letters on it. So what do these mean? Well, the letters say Namu Amida Butsu, which when translated
Wait! I had someone in the comments, because I don't know when people on YouTube watching this, but next episode is the Stone Hashira training episode. And I had someone in the comments write this. I was like so confused. I was like, why did they write that on episode 5? And I knew it was referring to the Stone Hashira, but I just don't know what it means.
I entrust myself to the Buddha of infinite light and life. It's pretty
Okay.
much just a religious chant, and it goes well with Gyomei's personality, considering
like a
he's
Buddhist
praying
thing.
all the
Yeah.
time. If you take
Yeah.
a look at Tanjiro's hands during episode 1 of the anime, you'll notice that they look really gentle with no scratches on them.
Now
However,
they're
after training
scruff.
with Urokodaki, his hands have become visibly damaged. From then
I
on,
mean,
pretty
dude,
much
he
every
got
time we see a
jacked.
close-up scene of Tanjiro's hands, you can notice these little scratches on
Yeah,
them, which is
yeah,
just an amazing little detail from the animation staff. Before we cover the 5th level and the secrets that are literally impossible to notice, let's cover the 4th one first, which contains the craziest secret so far. And I I bet none of you noticed this before. During the Swordsmith Village arc, we were properly introduced to Genya and even got a little bit of his backstory.
I love Genya,
During
man.
this one specific scene, exactly
so
at
bad for
17
him.
minutes and 50 seconds,
This
you
gets
can see
bullied
this
by his
girl.
brother.
Do you notice anything weird about her? She looks exactly the same as Giyu's sister. Her hairstyle, clothes, and even her hairpin are exactly the same as hers.
Imagine.
However, the craziest thing is that since this is a scene from a backstory, Giyu's sister was most likely alive during that time, which means that this might actually be her. And although that's absolutely
kinda crazy.
insane to think about, did you
It's
know
a
that
bit
there is
stretching
another
it,
great
but
secret in the very first
I like that
episode of the
theory.
show? You see, before Tanjiro goes into the town to sell charcoal, you can see one of his siblings holding an axe. Later on, when Tanjiro learns that his entire family is dead and starts running with Nezuko, you can see that he has the exact same axe around his waist. He probably picked it up at some point off screen. Of course, this is then the same axe he uses to attack Giyu. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's a really cool detail that I doubt many people noticed watching the show at normal speed. So you probably noticed that whenever Gyoko, the Upper Moon 5, wants to use one of his techniques, he does so with his porcelain vases. However, one detail you may have missed is that he uses a differently designed vase for each attack. For example, this is the vase he uses to activate his 1,000 needlefish kill attack. This is the one he uses for the octopus vase hell attack.
Oh, that's
this
true.
is for creating streams of water, and this one is for his 10,000 gliding slimefish attack. It's a really neat detail, but man, the names of his attacks need some serious changing. Another great detail can be found in the opening of the same season. In this one short scene, you can see Morichiro battling against Yorishi Type 0 doll. And if you pause at exactly the 25th second, you can see that his blade gets broken. But why is this important? Well, you see, in the anime, Morichiro's sword gets broken off screen while training. So I guess we know now exactly how it happened. One of the strongest demons we've seen so far in the show is definitely Zohakuten. This is Upper Moon 4's
he's like
last
my favorite and my least favorite demon, you know? Because I hate that little rat guy that runs away. I hate him. Like, the true form of the demon, I completely hate him. But the, you know, the anger and whatever, right? The way he splits the demons, they're so badass. I like every single one of them.
transformation, and it appears when all previous forms merge together. Okay, you all knew that. However, one thing I'm sure you missed is how Zohakuten's clothes are a combination of clothes of all demons that merge into him. For example, his sleeves are the same as Aizetsu's sleeves. Those purple things hanging behind his head are the same ones from Yurogi's belt, and that belt-like thing around his legs has the same pattern as Sekaido's kimono. But did you ever wonder what Nezuko and Tanjiro do in their spare time when they are not fighting demons? Well, during this one scene when Muichiro comes to wake up Tanjiro, if you look at the floor next to them, you'll see a couple of colored papers and some origami. They probably
referring to the last episode. Was it last episode or the previous episode? The previous episode. They did the whole scene about throwing paper planes, right?
made origami
That's
together before
such a
going to
cool
bed.
like little thing, because they had a whole scene about airplanes. Are they gonna play with these toys?
And although it may not be as interesting as some of the other secrets, you have to admit that it's really cute. Enough fooling around. We're finally at the 5th level, and I hope you are ready, because all of the secrets we have left are absolutely mind-blowing! At the very start of Season 3, we see all the Upper Moons together in a meeting. During this time, Doma teases Akaza, who in turn
I'm
breaks
just waiting
half of
for
his
Doma
face.
to show up,
Now,
bro.
if we really slow down the part when Doma regenerates, we can see how incredibly detailed it is.
Yeah,
Take
like
a
the
closer
bones.
look. You can clearly see how his bones appear first, then some tissue, and finally skin. It's insane that
Reminds me
animators
of
put
Attack of
so
Titan a little
much
bit.
effort into this. This is not the only time animators went the extra mile. At the very beginning of the show, during the opening scene, we can see these weird-looking marks in the snow, almost as if some kind of vehicle went through here. However, that's not the case, as we know that Tanjiro left those marks while carrying Nezuko. So, is this some kind of mistake? Well, no, it's not a mistake.
He was
It's
dragging
actually
his
just
feet,
an
right?
insanely realistic detail left by the animators. You see, Tanjiro carried Nezuko for a long time and was really tired, so he eventually started dragging his legs along as he didn't have enough strength to lift them each time. That's why the marks in the snow look like this instead of normal foot marks. If you managed to spot that last one by yourself, congratulations! But there are some details even more hidden than this. During Tanjiro's fight against Gyutaro, at one point, Tenjin throws Tanjiro in order to save him from Gyutaro's attack. But if you play this scene in a really slow motion, you'll notice that he actually threw him using only 2 fingers. This was probably done because Tenjin was holding weapons in both of his hands, so he couldn't have thrown Tanjiro any other way. Still, it's an interesting find. However, not as interesting as this one in episode 2. Here, at exactly 15 minutes and 48 seconds, we can see Urokodaki's house, and on the roof, you'll notice these rocks. This looked a bit weird to me, so I did some research and found out exactly why Urokodaki put them there. You see, back in the day, people who lived in stormy areas or in the mountains usually put heavy rocks on the roof, so strong winds wouldn't destroy it. Man, this level of detail is amazing. During the Mugen Train arc, we saw Akaza, the Upper Moon 3 demon, fight for the first time while activating one of his techniques called...
It just shows that the animators like do the research, because you know, like you create a world and then you're like, okay, well, it's just a house, and like, hold up, let me like look into it a little bit more.
Compass needle, you can see this symbol appear beneath his feet. Now, if you take a closer look, you'll notice that this symbol resembles a snowflake, which is a bit weird because shouldn't it resemble a compass instead? Well, if you pay very close attention while reading chapter 155 of the manga, you'll notice that Akaza's fiance, back when he was a human, had snowflake hairpins. Although Akaza doesn't remember his past, he subconsciously made his attack
only in the
look
manga
like
though,
this. Right? But did you ever wonder what would happen if Tanjiro met a different Hashira during episode 1? What kind of breathing style would he learn? And how strong would he be?
Imagine Tanjiro as a love Hashira. That'll be content.
You can click on this video next where